We're back on Loose on the Lead on this Sunday morning, and even under the circumstances where we're going to remember a horse that passed this week, a human as well, and somebody that's been gone for too long, that was taken from us early, in Richie O'Connell. It's still great to be able to welcome Herb McCauley to the show. Herbie, good morning.
Good morning to you, Steve. It's nice to hear from you.
I'm just looking at a picture of you, and you're wearing Mrs. Weber's silks, and that might be solar splendor, but we've got to talk about Thunder Rumble first and foremost, the New York bred that upset the Jim Dandy and then the Travers back in '92, and what a year it was for you, and what a horse he was.
He was an exceptional horse. Not a lot of people believed in him at the time. He was a New York bred. Richie O'Connell, who trained him, he was kind of a rogue in the morning where he was tough to gallop. He always hung out on the outside fence. He didn't want to make the turns and stuff. And Steve Placeres, who was at the time was not training, I started him off as an agent, and he told me, he says, listen, I got this horse Thunder Rumble, and he says he wants to comb the outside fence in the morning. He says, you want to ride him? I said, well, the only thing I know what to do is drop his head and let him roll on the fence, and if he can do that, we'll see who he becomes. And he turned out to be one heck of a horse, and actually he was going to be one of the favorites in the Wood Memorial, and I rode Devil is Due that year. That was 1992. I rode Devil is Due and dead heated with Lure and that Dawson stake. And I came up to the decision of which horse I was going to ride, Lure or Devil is Due. Thunder Rumble or Lure, who dead heated with. And I said, I'm going to ride Thunder Rumble. And he got a temperature, and he got sick. He was out. And I guess it was meant to be because in the Cahill Stakes, the race before the Wood Memorial, I went down and broke my collarbone and my shoulder, so I'd have been out for both of them. And it turned out they brought him back at Saratoga, and I worked him one morning at Saratoga, and an unbelievable workout. It had been more like a Bob Baffert workout out in California, where he went 3/4 of a mile in 10 and 2. And upon that, they said, we're going for the Jim Dandy. I said, let him roll. I said, he is. I've never seen a racehorse on top of his game better than this.
Herb,
and sure enough, he came out and he won the Jim Dandy and paid, I think, $34 that day.
More.
And after that, he kept on training. And the happiest person in the world might have been the valet Parker that parked my car for the jockeys at the time. Well, he parked it for the owners, but he parked my car, and he got the horse, and he bet on the horse not only in Jim Dandy, but he bet on him in the Travers, and he won like a champ.
Herb, we were watching, as you were talking about him and his development as a 3-year-old, we were watching the Travers. He was so strong in here, and I had John Morrison on the radio earlier this week, and of course, John was Richie's assistant at the time. He told the story, you couldn't work Thunder Rumble between the Jim Dandy and the Travers, and Richie reached out for Margie Cordero because he didn't want any other jock that might have had a mount in the Travers to get on his back, because he was worried that it might affect how they rode against him. And Margie gave him a perfect workout, apparently, and then you just march right down the four-path. He was so much the best in this Travers. We're watching the stretch run again here. He's just in a canter down the stretch.
It was funny because I was always, I guess, considered one of the most aggressive riders, and I loved to stay in the pocket, and I didn't like to go wide. And with him, when I turned him loose, he was just covering so much ground that was, if I stopped him, I felt like I was stopping a freight train, so I just gave him his open ground and all the air that he wanted. So I was in the four-path, and it's like I was taught by great Donnie Brumfield and Ray Broussard and people like that, Walter Blum. You don't go around 3 and you don't come through on 1. Well, I had so much horse, I went in the 4-pack.
Herb, I know John Morrison talked this week about the fact that Richie was very unhappy with that draw. He got the 10-hole, and that was a cause for concern for Richie.
It turned out to be a godsend to me because it was the 10-hole was my son. He was 10 months old by the day, and it was the 10th of, I think it was the 10th of August that the Travers was running that day. So it was everything was like 10-10.
And Herb, I'm just looking here. You remember it so vividly, but I'm just looking. It's the Travers. It's a Grade 1 race up at Saratoga, but I'm also looking. 1992. This was $1 million race.
That was the first $1 million race. It was one of those, I guess, part of a jockey's career where you couldn't, things were just unfolding for me. I was first time they hung $1 million up for the Travers, the first time they hung $1 million up for the Super Derby. And I got that with Linda, but we're on the subject of Thunder Rumble, but I nailed the first $2 million races like that.
And Herb, 92 was a terrific year, and I'm sure that, here was the Travers a couple of weeks after the Alabama where you just got nailed. You were having a great year on Saratoga Dew for Gary Siaka, of course, and just got beaten the Alabama. So to come back and win the Travers, that had to be pretty good itself.
It was a great thing. Actually, my former wife, I had a bet with her. She sat there and said if I won 5 stakes within a week's time that I could, I guess it was a week and a half if you count the weekend, that I could buy myself a Porsche. Well, getting beat a nose in the Alabama cost me the Porsche, but the Travers got the icing on the cake. So I didn't get my Porsche until I got divorced, but I definitely I enjoyed winning the Travers.
That is tremendous. And just to give everybody an idea of how great a year 92 was, how about the likes of these horses? Thunder Rumble, Solar Splenda, Saratoga Dew, Devil is Due, Walenda, Missy Moo, I Love You. I mean, you had a year that is just incredible.
It was one of the funniest years that I've ever had. I rode the least amount of horses, and I think my horses earned at the time over $5 million, and it was just like. I don't know. I was far from a prima donna, but it was like I had choice horses to ride, and I couldn't be more blessed by the owners and the outfits that I rode for, and it just turned out. I think, I had plenty of grace that year. I ended up laughing, be merry with Angel Penna. We won the Eclipse Award that year. Saratoga Dew got the Eclipse Award that year, so it was fun. But on the other hand, we're talking about people that we lost, and it was Richard O'Connell who had, like I said, Capace and Thunder Rumble that year, and then this week you said Ronnie Warren that we lost him, and he was a character within himself. I mean, he. Definitely, if somebody could write a book about him, he was something else. He did everything that he could with the racehorse, and he did it, I guess, in a fashion that not a lot of people on the racetrack really consented to. But he got his horses to run, and Coach me, Chad, like I said, that I thought that I could win I thought I'd win the Jim Beam, and I wheeled him out at the 8th pole, and I said he'd win by 4 or 5, and he just put on the brakes, and I got off, and Elmer Miller that owned him, he comes up to me, and he says, Herbie, he says, we got a chance in the Derby, and I told him, I said, you give me $10,000. I said, I'll ride him in the Derby, and if he doesn't finish 1, 2, 3, I give you your $10,000 back. And he says, why is that? I said, I figured something out today. And he says, what's that? I said, the horse loves the fence. All he wants to do is be on the rail. So we drew in the Derby, one of the biggest Derby fields, and I think it was the auxiliary gate out there, ended up being 22 horses, I think, that year. And I dropped back to dead last, and I put him on the fence, and he loped around on the fence. I went around one horse in the turn, and I run up the swell at the 8th pole, and then Pink Eye looked back at me, and when he did, he went to crack swell, and that was it. So I thought I was going to win my first Derby and only Derby, and instead I had to settle for second, but he was well trained by Ronnie Warren.
Well, and of course, everybody in New York, Ronnie Warren, a Kentucky guy, but for New Yorkers, everyone knows what kind of a horseman, natural horseman Richie O'Connell was, and could not resist a chance, Herb, to catch up with you. Watch out for those dogs, by the way. Keep.
Yeah, how about that? I mean, it's bad enough I've been around horses since riding them since I was 4 years old, and it's the first time, I mean, I've been bit by a horse once or twice. I mean, you can't be around a horse that long in your life and not be bit. But I have a dog bite me. That was the first.
Herb, looking forward to seeing you down in Florida in a few weeks. Thank you so much for this.
All right, you guys, and Steve, thank you so much, and keep doing well with your program, and here's the Furious Radio. Have a great Sunday.
Herb McCauley, everybody, who really had a tremendous career. Until you go back and look at the horses Herb rode, you forget